Hi, my name is Dr. Martin Mungwa. I'm a senior financial strategist with Fortune Street Financial, and I'm here with Doc Andrew. And I'm so happy to be here during this presentation, which you've actually taught us a lot. But there are a few questions I really want to ask you to know a little bit about you.
Okay, great. Fire away.
Doc, I see you have a lot of passion for this industry, financial industry. Can you tell us how you got about this? Because we can see it in everything you do and whatever you say, the passion that you show. Can you tell me how you got into this industry?
Well, I'll tell you the short version, okay? Because years ago, I actually got licensed to help people with their financial, dimension is what I call it. I got my licenses to Series 1 securities license for investments and insurance license, what have you, as a means to an end to get myself through law school. Do you know what I discovered? That the more attorneys I talked to, Martin, if they had to do it over again, they would rather help people manage and optimize their assets and minimize tax than just do the legal documents. And so, for a long story short, I began to realize, and I fell in love with helping people understand how money works, and the good ways versus the better ways and the best ways to save, for example, for long-term goals. And I was very concerned because a lot of Americans I knew were going to outlive their money. And so I wanted to make sure that they didn't just blindly follow the herd, so to speak, putting money, I think being duped, putting money into IRAs or 401ks, being told, oh, you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket when you retire and so forth. And the best way to get out of debt is this way and what have you. And I thought, no, that might be a good way, but I knew there were better ways, but I wanted the best way for my clients. And so I began to not only learn, not just in college, because frankly, what we teach is not taught in most colleges and universities. It's taught by those people who understand wealth and money and how to protect it. And so as I began to rub shoulders and hobnob with those people who were successful, I realized they were almost doing a 180-degree opposite of what most people were taught to do. And so I began to write books and speak to audiences and form mastermind groups. And frankly, I've invested over $3 million in my life, sharpening my saw, as Stephen Covey would say, by learning from other people who have done it. So that's how I got started in this passion to help as many other people as possible achieve financial independence. And many times it's not following the herd.
Right, thank you. The second question is, Doc, I see that you involve your family in this business.
Yes.
And the way you've actually structured your presentation to incorporate your family as the foundation, as opposed to putting emphasis on the finance. Can you say a little bit about that?
I sure can, Martin. Yes, there are what I call 3 dimensions of authentic or true wealth. A lot of times, financial advisors only focus on money. Money, money, money. And that's the financial dimension, which is important, okay? And yes, as a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist, I've helped thousands of people dramatically increase their net worth, their net spendable income by not a little bit, sometimes double, triple, quadruple what they would have accumulated or generated compared to following the herd like I talked about, okay? But really, it's not about the money, because at the end of the day, we don't take the money with us when we die. So I found that usually abundant-minded people, they're more concerned about their children and grandchildren and leaving behind a legacy. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking a legacy means money. No, what I found was a legacy was leaving behind the knowledge, the attitudes, the skills, the habits, which spells an acronym KASH, that's cash. And I realized, you know what, for those that I care about, if I had to choose between money or CASH and KASH, knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits, I'd rather leave behind the KASH any day, because It's leaving behind how to fish instead of dumping a bunch of fish in their lap, so to speak, okay? For example, if you were going to be playing in a golf tournament, let's say, and you had the choice of using a professional golfer like Phil Mickelson's swing, or you could use his clubs, what would you choose?
I choose the swing.
Yeah, the swing. Most people I ask that, they'd have the swing. Well, I notice most financial advisors focus on the clubs. Okay, buy this commodity, buy this mutual fund or stock or bond or gold or silver. It's really not in the club or the commodity, it's in the strategy. It's in the swing. Estate planning attorneys seem to focus on dividing up the golf clubs and the trophies, so to speak, among their kids and grandkids when you die. I'd rather leave behind the swing or how to fish instead of dumping fish. And then I'm able to empower my children and grandchildren, so I don't have to worry about them. They'll be financially independent, and it'll be generational wealth, like a generator versus a battery. And so I didn't want to just create a battery that usually goes dead when you do, because people put their money in traditional accounts, and what makes the battery go dead? Taxes, inflation, and market volatility. When you care about your children and grandchildren, humanity, your fellow man, there are more important things than money at the end of the day. And when you leave behind the knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits, you don't have to worry about the money. That will take care of itself. And so that's why I'm very passionate. And that's why we hold family vacations with a purpose, annual grandpa's camp for our 20 grandkids. And we want to teach them responsibility and accountability so that they know how to be self-reliant.
Wow, great. Now the final question to you. I now have a financial scorecard. I have the 8 steps, which are called the financial fortune triangle, financial triangle. And I already have been booked, to do a few presentations. I'm going to Philadelphia to talk to some church leaders. I'm also going to do a podcast with the African American Chamber of Commerce, New Jersey.
Wow!
And I'm also going to Minnesota for another annual conference sponsored by the African diaspora in the United States.
Wow!
So, just to ask and make a request, how can I go on more of this talking, tours? What sort of advice or help can you provide me to be able to achieve that?
That's a great question, Martin, and I have no question you are going to be able to do that. Because when you have true principles, okay, people will recognize when you teach true principles. And when people learn a true principle, they have a choice to make, okay? Do I want to implement that principle sooner than later, or do I want to put it on the back burner or ignore it? Those who want to implement it, then you show them the strategies and concepts on how to do it the quickest, most efficient way, and like I say, in a fast power curve instead of the long learning curve that it took me. That's why I'm very passionate about helping people like you want to help. So when you let your message, your light so shine to these people and these groups, let them know the principles that you stand for, okay? Unfortunately today, a lot of times our youth, they are not taught what to stand for. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. So make sure you communicate what you're standing for, the values, and then the concepts of how to implement them, and then the proper tools. And of course, what we learned together and what you're learning is how to help people apply the best tools to help them achieve their goal. So metaphorically speaking, many times, if I'm using that golf metaphor that I used here a moment ago, I may show people when to use a sand wedge or a 7-iron or a driver, but I don't get into the specific brand of clubs because it's more important to understand the swing and then the best tools, and then we get into the specifics, but it's more important to start first things first. And I think as you reach out to these various groups and you talk about the true principles, and they recognize that, and then they realize, how do I teach this and pass this on to our children and grandchildren, and they see that you have answers, that nobody else has made clear like you can, then more and more of them will begin to realize, I need to hear Martin's message and how he helps people optimize not just money, financial assets, but all of the assets on the family balance sheet or the community balance sheet. These are relationships. This is health. This is your beliefs, your values. And as you learn how to do that, then you'll understand why I call this a three-dimensional approach. It's like a three-legged stool. And too many people are wobbling on one leg. They're just focused on the money in the financial services industry. So when people say, Doug, what do you do? I simply say, well, I take the wobble out of their life. See, instead of just focusing on money, 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 I focus on these other two dimensions, that the foundational assets, family, heritage, talents, unique abilities, the intellectual dimension, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experiences, your reputation, your systems, methods, traditions, alliances, ideas, and skills. That's the three-legged stool. And Martin, you know how to do this. And as you reach out to these people, let them know what you want to do is deliver clarity, balance, focus, and confidence. When people have clarity, they will have unlimited energy. When they have balance, that takes the wobble out of their life. That increases the velocity in which they achieve their goals. When they have focus on what matters most, that increases the accuracy that they'll achieve their goals. And when you do that for people, they'll have much greater confidence, and confidence attracts opportunities. When you reach out to these people, you will give them confidence in a brighter future. They will see opportunities they didn't even see before until you help them get those epiphanies, those ahas. And you're blessed with the ability to do that, Martin. They are going to be blessed to listen to your message and feel what you have to offer, not just hear it.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Thank you, Martin.
Wonderful experience.
Okay, thank you. And good luck with all of your pursuits, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
He's a
it.
good man.
Thank you.